Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from Tatooine High School's graduation ceremony. I guess they have an award for the head valedictorian of scum and villainy.
Feels creepy.
Well,
I like how the commencement ceremony is made by the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. Yeah, you either succeed or you're going in, so.
Yeah, I like how the confetti is nothing but sand.
Right. Yeah. I mean, very different type of ceremony, but we're here. We're always on location at the places we need to be.
And Brandon, that's Brandon.
No. It's a handful of grown men at a high school commencement ceremony, and we don't know anybody here.
That's true.
This is like being a grown man and going by yourself to see Captain Underpants.
I have to keep looking over my shoulders because I remember we still owe Jabba the Hutt a lot of money.
Yeah.
No, you owe Jabba the Hutt a lot of money.
Exactly.
Don't put us in this.
So welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I thought we would get nothing out of that one. I expected nothing but deafening silence, but we got a little traction out of that.
I deal with the Hutts all the time.
We can keep running with this one.
Okay. I'm Joe
I like the
Thorderson.
Stills and Pizza the Hut.
Oh, yeah. Here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And, yeah, it is that time of year.
I'm sorry. Alan, you messed me up there.
All right.
Because now I'm in full Mel Brooks Spaceballs territory, Joe.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you guys. We got a couple. Speaking of Spaceballs, I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy is goofy and wacky, and
It was
till they
tender,
decided to throw.
And
now it's
all fuzzy and
emotional
heartwarming.
damage.
Well, this is interesting because there's gonna be a little serendipity today because we're gonna talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. From my point of view, though, the parts they got right in Guardians of the Galaxy happen to be the parts that really delved into the emotional trauma of Rocket Raccoon. We're gonna deal in spoilers too, folks. And the fact of that really was what everybody is sort of universally cheering. The humor kind of leaves me flat. However, it's also before we get to that, there's a conversation we're going to have about. You talk about an anime that totally captures human emotion and is just it's really a masterpiece. And the title would surprise you, but it's called Violet Evergarden. This is one of these late to the party games. I know, Brandon. This came out about 5 years ago.
But let's discuss that for a second there. Not you being late to the party. That's okay. You got introduced to something that's amazing. Later than normal, but you got to enjoy it.
Okay.
But have you ever noticed that when it comes to anime, the ones with the just off-the-wall weird kind of titles usually end up being the better ones?
Violet
They
Evergarden.
hit everything.
Like Death Parade.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this one, I couldn't get past the title. I would scroll past it. There's a anime girl with Violet Evergarden as the title. I'm like, okay, well, this is some kids, whatever. I mean, you would never guess what a gritty and what a just an outstanding anime this is. So, Max, you've I think we've most of us have watched it. So we're gonna.
This is my third time.
We're gonna discuss really what just the importance of this anime. So. We're going to talk about that, Guardians of the Galaxy. Before we get to that, though, we've got some we can finally make an announcement we've been sitting on, Brandon, for quite a while.
We've, with the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. One of the biggest challenges is getting your guests, because it's like you've got to find scheduling, you got to find the people that and you got to find someone who's going to appeal to everybody. And we got Mo Collins, star of Mad TV. She was in Fear the Walking Dead, but most people will know her from Parks and Recreation as Joan Calamezzo, the highly inebriated and altered, news personality.
Yeah, you wanted me to go get Perd Hapley too.
I said if it was possible, I would love to have gotten the two of them, there together, just
for fun,
just to put them on stage to see how well they can improv.
Well, she's apparently pretty jazzed about coming here. We've had the contracts out there. We've known about this for a few weeks, but until you sign it, you
can't say anything.
To quote Richard Marx, until you sign it on the dotted line, it don't mean nothing. So okay, but don't roll your eyes at me, Brandon.
Dude. I want to give you all sorts of props because ever since we made the move to 98.1 The Max, you find a way to get that classic music, touch right in there.
I don't know that they're playing a lot of Richard Marx over here.
Well, let's just be honest. A lot of the stuff they're playing, you're just going like, yeah, my parents wouldn't let me listen to that.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Mo Collins is, wow, she is a funny lady. And she's apparently just really cool too. So she's a very prominent voice actress. She's been in, F is for Family. She was in the 40-Year-Old Virgin movie. She's been in so many that we just zeroed in on a few because we couldn't post everything.
What's really weird is, you're kind of used to the way, she looks like in Parks and Rec as Joan Calamezzo. She doesn't look anything like that in Fear the Walking Dead.
And she doesn't look anything, and on all the skits she plays
on Mad TV.
On Mad TV, forget about it, man. And
she has that everyday person quality about her,
right?
Which means if you just change one thing, you put her in a different set of clothes,
right?
She can go to Walmart and nobody would know.
She's a chameleon.
However, you dress her like any one of the characters, and you're like, oh, that's you, and
See, Allan has that same situation. The only reason everybody recognizes him is that he smells of sulfur and meat.
Okay, that's so weird. I don't know how to react to that one.
He's the food dude, Joe. Okay. I don't know if you realize that.
I don't know where sulfur comes in. But
he's also the villain.
Okay, so if you want to meet Mo Collins, she's going to be
that's awesome.
Now she's appearing Friday and Saturday, and then we're flying her out Sunday. So that's November 10th through 10th and 11th. The convention, of course, is November 10th through 12th, and we're partnered up with all the Cumulus stations. All our sister stations are going to be represented at the convention, and of course, all the tickets are available at 901 Tix. But go to the website, go to memphiscfc.com, and I would really encourage you also to go to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention Facebook page. And, it's important, Brandon, on Facebook, you got to type every word in because, let's face it, if you type in Memphis or convention or fan, whatever, you're going to get taken the wrong.
There's a lot of us here, and, we try our best to work with each other, but when it comes to Facebook, you really can't change their algorithm so that they take you to the right one unless you put every word in.
Right, and and if you're a fan of any of those shows, you're gonna love meeting Mo Collins. She's a riot. So we're excited about that, and I know our buddy Laura Johnson's really stoked. She's a big Parks and Rec fan. Yeah. So.
And she's an improv comic.
Well, that's the thing. We got to see what we can do about getting her on stage and doing some improv. I'm thinking, I don't want to overpromise, but it sounds like we're going to be doing a interview with her, on Geek Tank Radio as some of our bonus content. So, all right, you guys. Well, this is very cool, and so we're happy to make that announcement. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Put the disintegrator down and step away from the radio. The Geek Patrol is back.
Well, you can always listen to us online if somebody can't help themselves. So sometimes it's therapeutic to just destroy something.
I don't know anybody who has a disintegrator and still has a radio anyway.
There you go. Exactly. So get rid of your radio. Why not? Purge and listen to us on the app. I don't know. We're probably going to get in a lot of trouble for this comment. But welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And by all means, don't destroy your radio with a disintegrator gun. Danny, we were just kidding. So, hey, you guys, so we were talking about this.
There's so many more imaginative ways to destroy radio.
Okay.
I love our listeners and everything. Let's be honest, though. If they have anything that can destroy a radio, it's a sledgehammer.
No, it's us.
Okay.
No, we destroy radio, not their radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we also need to mention one thing, like Happy Mother's Day, guys.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
I thought I'd bring that up in the room full of men that, it is Mother's Day today. So you be nice to mom, do something nice, behave yourself or the best you can.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a good point. If you're a mother out there and you're celebrating by listening to Geek Tank Radio on a nice Sunday,
let us know. Send us a message.
Okay. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, sir.
Pop on to the Max Facebook page and let us know.
Okay. Sounds good. GeekTankRadio.com, all those good platforms. So, all right. Hey, Max, this is interesting. You had to drag me kicking and screaming to this. And I'm fully admitting, Brandon, this is one of these late to the party segments that we're doing. This is an anime that came out in 2018 and wrapped up in 2020. And Max, I couldn't get past the title, but once you convinced me, I binge watch it, and this might be one of the greatest things I've ever watched.
We were even talking about the idea of your wife watching it because, she's uninitiated in the realm of anime, but it's like, if you could only watch one, it has to be this one. It's better than any of like the British shows that she watches.
Yeah, all these sappy, serial or whatever those are, those period pieces. But Max, tell us about
like
Violet.
Downton Abbey and other massive award-winning shows.
If you're scrolling through Netflix and you see Violet Evergarden and you see the thumbnail, you would never guess what this is actually about, right, Max? I mean,
well, to give a basic synopsis of what Violet Evergarden is all about, Violet is a child that was raised to be a killer, a war machine. She's just a tool in the cog that is this thing that's pretty much like post-World War I. And she's recovering from the war, not only physically because she literally had her arms, like prosthetic arms, but she's also recovering emotionally because she's a very stoic person, very 7 of 9-like, just very matter of fact.
Kind of robotic, yeah.
Very robotic. But one of the last things that she was separated from her commanding officer named Major Gilbert Bougainville. And one of the last things that she heard from him was the words, "I love you." And so she's spending her time throughout the anime series trying to understand what this phrase means.
Right. Which is, it sounds pretty, that sounds hokey to me, Allan. Until you look at how they execute this thing. I mean,
well,
it's pretty amazing, actually.
Let's take storytelling at its core. The basic idea of storytelling is to find a character, get you to like them, convince them to climb a tree and throw rocks at them.
Yeah.
That is basically a writer's fundamental job. And they start this series off by actually making Violet a not unlovable character, but a sympathetic character.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, you kind of look at this and you kind of go, wow, I know exactly why she is the way she is. She has been through all of this.
And Max, we talk about storytelling devices, and the device they use to tell a lot of people's stories, almost like in an episodic way on the anime, is very interesting.
And it's also very stream of consciousness because a lot of the people are reflecting on Violet and everything through their thoughts, and that's something anime does a lot. Is like they have a lot of inner dialogue.
Well, what I was going for was the thing that caught my attention was, so basically and we're dealing with spoilers here, folks, by the way, but she gets a job. She's trying to understand what the words "I love you" mean. She's been taught to just kill and not feel anything. And basically, she starts working as what they call an auto memory doll, which is not what people might think. It's basically, let's suppose you live, maybe you don't know how to read or write, and or maybe you're just not very good at communicating, and you have an important letter to write to somebody. Maybe somebody, you're at the end. It's at a pivotal moment of your life. Where
Right.
you call one of the auto memory dolls, and they will help write an important letter for you. So what happens is she winds up interacting with people in very pivotal moments of their life. And usually it involves tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen human emotions conveyed. I would call them relatable and really just almost gut-wrenching. I've never seen it so well done as they do it here.
And people behave like people. It could be a child behaving like a child, or like there's even simple gestures, like when someone's overly emotional, they might like make weird gestures, like pound their leg or something, or pretend to choke themselves or just whatever when they're so overcome with grief and sadness. Just like weird stuff like that, but it's very human.
It does it's visual storytelling. The animation is great. The music plays a huge role in this show.
Shout out to Evan Call, the composer.
And what's interesting too is, Max, you said that and of course the dialogue is great, but also you said that the whoever created the story was sort of anonymous almost.
What I find very fascinating about Kana Akatsuki is the fact of that I couldn't find a lot on them. What little I do know about Kana Akatsuki is the fact that I believe they submitted this. This was originally a light novel series. They originally submitted this just because it was just a dream of theirs to just write something. And I think to this day, maybe they still maintain some degree of anonymity. They aren't like Hirohiko Araki from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that everybody knows, or Junji Ito, the famous horror writer. they just kind of maybe continue to live an anonymous life. It's like they drop the mic, boom, they're done.
It's pretty great. And so we strongly recommend you got to watch everything, and it's vital that you watch at the end. You watch the Violet Evergarden movie, which wraps it up. Very satisfying, and but it deals with emotions very well, and that's what we wanted to segue into because Brandon, when we come back and talk about Guardians, that's what
beforehand,
they did well.
I want to put out there.
Okay.
There's also the Violet Evergarden Recollections. I'm not sure what that is. I didn't notice that until I looked into it, the other night when you guys mentioned it, and I haven't seen any of that.
Oh,
so I don't know what that is.
Those are OVAs, I think. So we'll mention that when we come back. But yeah, strongly recommend Violet Evergarden. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to shift gears to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. It's like listening to wizards yodel in parcel tongue. The Geek Patrol is back.
Okay. We heard that one. Okay, yeah. But like as we've said before, you try that.
It's
a skill not everybody could do. Now, of course, Allan was born with the skill. He does it in his sleep.
Now, is parcel tongue a universal language, or is there like Spanish parcel tongue or English parcel tongue?
Good point.
All right.
I like to think
it's
there is.
Burmese parcel tongue, and then there's European. But,
Okay.
You people, I swear.
Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I don't know. You really threw us for a curve with that one, Max. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass. So, you guys, so if you're just tuning in, we've been, we gave you an update about the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. Mo Collins is going to be joining us. What a great, fun guest she's got. Go to memphiscfc.com to learn more. Go to our Facebook page. Before the break, though, we were talking about a really outstanding anime called Violet Evergarden, which just is one of it captures human emotions really almost better than any anime I've ever seen, and it's paced a little bit differently than your modern types of stories. So if you you got to be patient with it, but it is very rewarding, and you got to watch it all the way through to the end. The reason we thought this was interesting, Brandon, is because Guardians of the Galaxy 3 came out. We're going to deal in spoilers here, folks, but I didn't love the movie, but I did love certain parts of the movie, and I thought the parts they got right dealt with human emotions. And I mean, especially to do with Rocket Raccoon and really just gut-wrenching sequences. So
yeah, it's not something you really want to take your kids to see.
I wondered, it's funny, animal cruelty. We watch so much violence in movies and everything, but why is it that when animals are being mistreated, it's so? I guess because they're just basically innocent.
We feel that way about animals, same way we feel about violence towards children in media. It is, it's heart wrenching.
They're helpless.
There's something about the helpless, the innocent being tortured. It resonates in people who have a sense of morality, a sense of empathy. I mean, just
right.
You want to protect, you want to save. We grew up on superhero comics. It's just it's ingrained in us.
And I got to be, full disclosure, I'm not the target audience for this movie because I wasn't really a big. I always thought that my problem was just the humor. I thought was sort of forced, and I don't know. And it's mostly just the way they don't.
I've always found that interesting that you feel that way because it really does line up. A lot of their jokes, while being a little more twisted, line up with your sense of humor.
Isn't that funny?
That's why I didn't like it. It was too much like him.
Oh.
It's shining a spotlight on my... Okay, maybe it's making me reflect on my own weaknesses or something.
Yes.
No, but I think it's mostly just the way they go from one of these really emotional scenes and just flip a switch and they don't let it breathe. Like, I think that's
that's editing.
Okay.
I'm not.
Maybe that's what it is.
I'm not going to put that in the writing or even the directing. I'm going to put that in the editing because you're right. With the first two Guardians movies, it's like as soon as you have something happen, immediately afterwards you have either a joke or as soon as you have some major levity going on, all of a sudden you get hit with something serious. You go on this. It's not even
whiplash.
An emotional roller coaster. It's like, you ever been in that they call it the sizzler in a lot of the fairs that it does. But it's that thing that basically slams you against the wall and then it pulls you back and slams you against the other wall of the car.
Okay.
That's what it's like to watch a Guardians movie emotionally.
Well, you are the target audience for this, and Allan, I know you're a fan of this stuff. So I guess your opinion's more important than mine in this.
My biggest problem, across the board is that where James Gunn can do comedy and emotion at once, other people thought they could as well and felt the need to go in that direction, and that's what has kind of killed a lot of Marvel films.
Thor, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Thor,
yeah,
yep,
yeah. Well,
I loved Ragnarok because because of the goofiness. After the Dark World, I needed some reason to enjoy Thor because the Dark World is garbage.
It's kind of dry,
and but then going full tilt with Love and Thunder, and it's like, you have a very poignant story right there, and you were making jokes about stage 4 cancer.
Right, exactly. So, all right. Well, so what did you think, Brandon? Because you.
All right. See, I loved Guardians 3. The emotion, I'm going to say something, and it's going to piss a lot of people off.
Okay.
It is the most emotionally invested Marvel film since Endgame.
And a lot of people, I don't disagree with that.
A lot of people are going to go, "What? Did you not watch Wakanda Forever?" Wakanda Forever, all the way across the board, feels forced. After watching it on a second take, it almost feels exploitive.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that got annoyed that they used Chadwick Boseman's death in a way like they shouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, they misused it. And I'm the biggest Black Panther fan of the first movie there is, but the second one fell flat.
But you look at things like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We had just watched Wanda go through this emotional arc with WandaVision to come out the other end as the hero, and immediately turn her into a Marvel villain.
I didn't get that at all. Yeah. Yep.
It's just there's been so many missteps, and Guardians kind of feels like it may have fixed that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did it fix it for you guys? Because I can't, like I said, I'm not the target audience.
It really all depends on what we get. Because, we've got the Marvels coming out, and that looks like it's just nothing but goofiness, which kind of fits in with Miss Marvel, but that's not something I was expecting from Captain Marvel, too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say Mr. Gunn wrapped up his series.
Yeah.
He played the characters a certain way, for good or bad. He had good chemistry among his cast. He brought it down, and now he's signed off on it. He's done, and now he's going to go to another project. So we know we're not going to get another James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, that's
we
a good
know
point.
that
At least there's closure.
Is finished.
Yeah, that's true.
But the big question here is, will Marvel realize that this bounced back from what it was basically a disastrous set of movies that they put a lot of investment into, and realize maybe they need to pivot?
Yeah.
We won't know for a while because thanks to the writer's strike, we're not going to get new Marvel films for a good chunk. Because
maybe
anything
that's a good thing.
No, I agree with you, Joe.
Yeah.
I think anything where you're going to make it where folks have to take a step back because they can't write.
Right.
It can only get better.
Okay. We're going to continue to unpack that because there's more to say about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we're going to do it when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Mr. Spock hates these guys. The Geek Patrol is back.
Well,
I'm not a big fan of his either.
It was kind of heart-wrenching, though, getting that letter.
He went back in time and screwed things up.
Yeah.
He said, what's the opposite of live long and prosper?
Right.
Geek Tank Radio.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And today, among other things, we're talking about Violet Evergarden. We've given you a Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention update. And, of course, we're recapping our thoughts about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, dealing in spoilers here, Brandon. So,
right.
And I decided I'm not going to nitpick and pick the things out that I didn't like. I'm going to pick on the things that I thought were good. And among them, there was a character in there. Well, and don't let me run out of time before I mention the ending of the post-credit scene. But the High Evolutionary, I got to be honest, I don't know that character at all. Somehow I missed him but I thought the actor that played him, I don't know, I have his name in front of me, but I thought he was a very interesting character.
And I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah, and I thought the scenes with him and Rocket were pretty interesting because at some points he's very likable. Then he flips a switch and he becomes
there's
evil.
That whole that whole point. Well, I mean, he was always evil, but yeah, you think he's actually genuinely believing about he's going to make the world a better place, or he's going to make a better world,
right?
And which, okay. You think that, but then you kind of throw a temper tantrum when one of your creations, outperforms you,
right?
And
big ego.
Isn't that the true nature of a mentor? Is for the thing you create, the thing you teach to
right? Yeah,
evolve beyond you.
All parents want their kids to do better than they did. If you're but I thought he was good. His motivation still was like, I don't know. I thought it was half-baked.
I mean, he is a villain. What's really funny is that the High Evolutionary, who we met in Guardians Volume 3, is actually the Lord Denizen of Mount Wundagore, which we saw in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. You start, and I think that is also another one of the things that's been bad with Marvel is the way they pick and choose things that they are supposed to go together and then throw them into separate sides of the universe, never to meet.
Now that's interesting. I had no clue there was any connection to Doctor Strange with that.
Marvel continuity, comic-wise, has been really murky in the past 15, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
But
one way to put it.
When they were doing the thing where they were going to have to remove the mutant powers, the Magneto parentage of Wanda and Pietro,
right?
They basically set it up where the High Evolutionary was the one who had originally created them.
Oh, okay. That's it. So, they didn't go that direction.
He's been a villain for the Fantastic Four. He's been a villain for the X-Men, two franchises that haven't really been, introduced in the Marvel films. So you want this villain because he's an amazing character. And that's one of the reasons why I think, spoiler alert, Rocket let him live, is he needs to show back up.
Yeah, I hate to say it. That's probably the case. So, but there is something kind of funny to me about this. So the High Evolution, well, I'm saying funny, but if you have a low tolerance for animal cruelty, you probably won't be able to watch this movie. And like we said, maybe don't watch it with your 8-year-old kid, because but he deals with a lot of animal experimentation. And so at the end, spoiler folks, Rocket and the team rescue all of these imprisoned animals that have been experimented on and saves the day. Yeah. Yet, in the post-credit scene, Brandon, I can't figure this one out. There's a village being invaded by these invasive species, and the end thing that they do as the big heroic moment is basically wipe out an entire species of animal.
We don't know. First of all, we do not know that they wipe out an entire species of animal. But
what else do you do? But it's kind of
like when you have a stampede. Allan, you're from Texas. When you have a stampede of wild animals that you can't control, there's only two options: let them destroy everything, or put them out of your misery.
How about build a big fence? Or get a graviton.
Have you ever seen a stampede, Joe?
That's what they did in Australia when they had the rabbit invasion, didn't
they?
They're
rabbits. I know these things at the end of Guardians.
The rabbits bounded around eating everything.
In the mid-credit scene, they look like rabbit-like creatures, but they're about the same size as,
a longhorn steer.
Right.
Yeah.
Use I'm just spitballing here. You could use a tractor beam, pick them all up, and transport them over to some island and let them live their life. But that's just me. I'm just saying there's a lot of hypocrisy here.
Again, you were trying to...
Who brought the tractor beam?
You were trying to apply a logic that doesn't exist.
Okay.
That's an alien abduction.
I don't know if anybody realizes this, but... based on the actual physics behind a tractor beam, it would slaughter most of the ones in the stampede because they'd be running into it.
I don't know.
No, Joe. Okay. Tractor beam doesn't just stop you where you're at. It's momentum.
Thanos had a pretty good tractor beam if they had that technology. So, hey, I don't want to eat up the whole thing, but Brandon now, so it's apparently doing pretty good at the box office, right? Is this enough to right the Marvel ship, you think? Or?
I don't know if you can right the Marvel ship because, Marvel is continuing to make money anyway. It's more along the lines of, can you get the audience back? Because people just don't care anymore about. It's like, all right,
it's too much. You need to slow it down.
You built us up. Well, no, that's the problem. Is they slowed it down to the point where you're like, oh, I don't need to see that one.
No, I'm saying we don't need 5 superhero movies a year.
Oh, we don't need that
one
anyway.
every other year.
We don't. I mean, it's like the truth of the matter is you could get rid of about 80% of the superhero movies and we'd get the same amount of story. Right. Because like I was saying off air when I was comparing Guardians and Violet Evergarden, is that the reason why these work is they have heart. Mm-hmm. And so much of the rest of it literally just feels like
we're making a movie.
We're biding our time to the next big explosion.
It's flashy content. That's really, it's spectacle.
Again, it's, I'm going to pick on Fast and the Furious franchise right now. It's nothing but ludicrous insanity and stunts, but the underlying tone of family and being there for one another that is what keeps people going back. Is there's a really weird lesson you learn, but you don't realize that lesson's in there until you actually look at it, because you're like, these cars, they just sent Ludacris and Tyrese into space in a car.
That's a pretty good point you made, though. You learned a lesson.
Don't roll down the window.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Don't roll down the window.
Well, that's coming up, too. I'm sure you're going to weigh in on that, right?
Right. The Fast X is coming, so.
Okay. Well, lots of good stuff. But, guys, unfortunately, we're out of time once again. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
And I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I'm Brandon Olmsted, reminding you, as much as we like it in stories, please keep your emotions to yourself.